right. Good afternoon, everybody. We're so glad that you're able to join us today. We do have a few additional people rolling in. For those of you who have been in our Leadership Forum meetings before, we welcome you back. My name is Christine Jenkins. I am one of the 4K managers with the First Steps 4K program, and part of my duties include leadership development. So I am pleased to offer you trainings through these series that we call the Leadership Forums. And this month, we do these each month on the third the third Thursday of the month, where we will offer these trainings for our program leaders that are in 4K. And some of the program trainings we are offering are available to anyone that works in childcare. So because we had a very high demand topic and a very high demand presenter today, we have opened this up to anyone who wanted to be in this training. So for those of you who know the drill, please put your name, your school name, and your SC Endeavors number in the chat box so that we can have that additional way of making sure you get credit for today's training. So I will repeat that once more once we get rolling here and before I fully turn it over to Kathy. But I would love for you to help me welcome Kathy Kovacs, who is a program manager with ABC Quality, to our Leadership Forum today. And I know that this is a topic that everybody is going to be interested in, about how to showcase your strengths with ABC Quality and learning a little bit more about their tools that they evaluate you with, and how to maximize those opportunities. So Kathy, welcome, and we're so glad you're with us.
Thank you, Christine. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure having all of y'all here. Like Christine said, I work for ABC Quality. I just hit my 11-year anniversary this month, so that was pretty cool. And prior to that, I was a childcare owner director in the private sector. And then I've also been a teacher for childcare. And then I have also been a center manager for early Head Start program. So I have a little bit of a diverse background in early care and education. And I also am an adjunct instructor at Midlands Tech in coursework in early care in education. That's my side hustle. So I do that just for fun. It keeps me up with early care and education theories, and I feel like it keeps me fresh. So I enjoy that work. Christine, can you still see my PowerPoint, or do I need to share my screen again?
Nope, I can still see it. Can all of you see her PowerPoint? Nikisha McKinney, I've got you in my view. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you see her PowerPoint slide? All right, fantastic.
Thank you.
Kathy, before you dive in, thank you. I see all those thumbs up. Oh, I love that use of the emojis. Before we let Kathy get off and running, I'm just going to give you one more reminder. Please sign in the chat box, put your name, your school name, and your SC Endeavors number so we have backup to make sure that you get credit for this session. And also, we do anticipate having a high number of guests with us today, so we will allow you to put your cameras off if you need to make sure that you're getting a good, strong signal. But make sure that you still interact, because Kathy's going to have some activities for you to do, and that's how you're going to get the most out of this. So take it away, Kathy.
All right. Thank you, Christine. Okay, so I have a lot to cover today, but I'm excited to be here. As you see, really the focus, what I want to talk to you is about the changes, the adaptations that we have made to our standards. And I want to give you a little background about that. So wait a minute. Let me see what's happening here. Okay, so welcome everyone here. It's great to see you. If you will do me a favor, because we do have so many people in the group and time, even though an hour and a half sounds like a lot, I have a lot to say. So I want to make sure that I get everything covered for you. So if you have a question, if you will put it in the chat, I will try to answer questions as we go along. I might not get to all the questions, but if I can't get to them today, I promise you I will follow up. And maybe we can do something in the future where I can just do like a Q&A for y'all, if that would help. So let me know what you need, and I'm happy to do that. Oh, here we go again. I keep pushing the wrong thing. Let me go here. All right. No, that's not working. Let me go here. All right. So this is the agenda for today. So as you can see, we've got a robust agenda. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started on, we're going to start talking about ABC Quality's continuous quality improvement process. So ABC Quality, our main goal is to ensure that we have an achievable and sustainable system. And so what do I mean by that? So when I talk about achievable, I'm talking about having a strength-based assessment, an assessment that eliminates barriers. It's that prevent your programs for showing your achievements. And we also want to make sure that you are able to individualize and focus on your own areas of strengths in your program. When we talk about sustainable, we're talking about our framework, so our ABC Quality Framework. And this framework is really about promoting quality practices in childcare, ensuring that they're safe and healthy environments, that you have qualified and stable workforce, that you engage learning opportunities for children, that you have strong family and community partnerships. And then the third is feasible. So we have one tool for all quality levels. We feel like this is a really transparent approach. You can see what you need to do to move on to the next step, and you can decide how you're going to make improvements in your program incrementally towards those goals that you have established. And then we consider that we have an evidence-based tool. This requires us as a system to ask a lot of questions. We're searching for evidence. We're appraising the quality of our tool. We're implementing the findings, and we're evaluating results for effectiveness and fidelity. So here's our framework, and I will talk about this really quickly. So you can see it has 4 tiers. The main tier is, or the foundational tier is the eligibility. Eligibility are the requirements to participate in ABC Quality relating to program and staff requirements. And these requirements are based on the CCDF federal requirement. We are mandated by the Child Care Development Fund, which is under the we're under the under ACF, which is something Academy for Children and Families. I don't think it's Academy. I'll figure out what the A is later, but it's the federal organization. That's where we fall under. Today we're going to focus on structural and process quality. Structural quality are those program policies, staff qualifications, child well-being, family partnerships, and these indicators are assessed through a portfolio submission. Then process quality are the teacher and child interactions that happen. It's really about what practices are placed in the classroom, what the environment is like, and we're using our intentional teaching tool to assess that. And then finally, there's a continuous quality improvement portion. This is where you fall in. This is where you look at your reports, you think about where you're at based on the assessment and what you'd like to do to improve your quality. right, let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Yay. All right, so just like you have a continuous quality improvement practice in your program, ABC Quality has a continuous quality process. And we do this to ensure the validity and effectiveness of our quality standards. And our process includes the following. The first is implementation, and this is when we use the tool in the field to assess your program for quality levels. The next is evaluation. This is the data collection process. This is where we obtain data from various stakeholders. We get line item analysis, surveys, focus groups. We get information from researchers as well as practitioners and programs in the field. And then adaptation. This is what I'm talking about today, and I'm really excited about this process because this is where, looking at all that feedback that we got through the evaluation process, this is where we make decisions, and this is where we make changes so that we refine our practices to help you achieve better outcomes over time. So currently, we've finished the adaptation process, and we're going to be moving back into implementation. And we'll just do the cycle all over again, because our goal is to always to continue to improve as well. All right, so I wanted to talk about that evaluation process that I told you about. We did various types of studies to really kind of hone in on the standards and really kind of figure out why some standards were harder for programs to achieve than others. What were those barriers? What was happening? Why was some of this stuff so hard for people? So we did a quantitative study, and this study focused on measuring and analyzing numerical data. So this is when we're looking at how an indicator performs and that indicator's correlation to the overall quality of your program. The next study we did was a qualitative study, and this is really the study that explores ideas, where we get narratives from you, we get narratives from people out in the field, and this talks about the experience and meanings surrounding the indicators. This is a little bit more interpretive, but this is really the part that I really liked, because this was the part that really kind of told us how you felt about the assessment and how it impacted your program. So we took all the data from the quantitative study, the qualitative study, which included surveys and focus groups of our quality assessors, our anchors, our health educators, and also childcare programs. There were over 500 childcare programs that were invited to participate in the qualitative study, and we had about close to a 40% response rate of that. So that's a pretty good rate of response, and so we were really excited about that. And what some of the things that came out of these studies, really high level, that we heard, themes that we heard was programs needed clarity of understanding, that the ability to assess it properly, were the quality assessors assessing it properly, and us really continuing to focus on a strength-based approach. So what happened is all this information was collected and analyzed, and then our leadership group at DSS, along with our research teams, we came to a consensus and came up with the final adaptations, really based on your feedback. So here's what happened. So these are the kinds of adaptations that were made as a result of the study. One thing we did have to do because of our federal funding is we had to make sure the language in our tools supported the priorities of the current administration. So we made those changes. We eliminated and divided indicators where the data showed we needed to do that. We We also focused on indicators that both assessors and program stated needed more clarity. So we added definitions, examples, and observer notes. And then finally, we did have to kind of come up with solutions that match the IT systems that we were working with. We wanted to make the changes immediately. So we were considering what kind of changes could we make immediately within the parameters that we had, the systems that we had. Oh, wait a minute, doing this wrong again. Here we go. All right, so I wanted to kind of give you a little bit more detailed about what the focus on and what we really did. So we did unleak indicators. So we looked at barriers that were resulting in the tool that made it, like, for example, unlinking indicators. What did that do? So we have some indicators that excuse me for a minute. We have some indicators that, sorry about that. I forgot to turn the volume down on my office phone. So we have some indicators that you had to earn it here. If you didn't get credit at this indicator, then there was a series of indicators that followed that you also didn't get credit for. So we did that. We had some duplication. So you were being assessed on an idea in the during the classroom observation as well as during your portfolio submission. So we removed that duplication. Or it might have even been something you're being monitored by childcare licensing. So we took that out. We removed the all or nothing scoring. So we tried to, wherever we could, either have scoring be incremental opportunities or divide indicators so that you could get credit for the things that you were actually doing. We balanced our point structure. We noticed that in our specifically in the structural quality portfolio, the staff education and training was heavily weighted over the other indicators within that tool. And so that made it it was disproportional to the rest of it. And what happened was programs, that was a really difficult indicators to earn. It just didn't seem fair that all your points kind of were in one bucket. So we kind of spread them out more evenly. We tried, like I said earlier, we tried to clarify and expand examples. We really are looking for programs to individualize what are they doing well? So more opportunities to show what they were doing well. And we are also, our staff do engage in training and continuous reliability. And that means they have to score at a certain level against another quality assessor or an anchor in order to ensure that they are scoring the tool properly and that they're interpreting the indicators properly. Okay, so I'm going to quit talking about the studies we did. And if you have any questions about that or you want more information about that, we do have an adaptation summary on our website. And I'm going to see if I can put that in your, and I think Christina told me she's going to send you the, she's also going to send it to you in an email with a PowerPoint. So you can look at that study. That summary kind of tells you everything I talked about and then kind of drills down to indicator what we did. So if you want to look at that, you're more than welcome to. All right, let me get with it here. Okay, what is happening? There we go. So I'm going to move in talking about your structural quality portfolio. That's the policies and procedures you have in your program that you have to submit. You were submitting it in SE Endeavors. So if you will take a second and just kind of in the chat, kind of put what was challenging about submitting your structural quality portfolio, if you had any challenges. Okay. Well, if you think of something while I'm talking, you want to add to the chat about your challenges you've experienced of submitting your structural quality portfolio. Um, okay, so it's new to some of you. Some of you like to have access to ahead of time. So we do have that information available to you. Cindy didn't have any challenges. That's wonderful. Um, I'm happy to see that new teachers are here. I think a lot of times teachers don't hear about what we do, what the tool is like. Well, I'm glad we have a lot of new people here. We are going to be doing more trainings too about our assessments. So we're hoping that you will join us for some of those. And I'll make sure Christine has that information.
And Kathy, that is one of the things like with the 4K program, if they are not, when a program comes into 4K, if they're not currently participating with ABC, we generally encourage them to consider doing that if they're a program that's able to participate in ABC quality, because it gives them additional supports for the population of students that we all serve. So we hope that maybe that's why some of the new programs are on here.
Right. Okay. Well, great. So remember, today's session, I'm talking about the changes we made to the tool. I will share information about some trainings, even some online trainings that you might want to do that we're getting ready to publish that you might want to do to get a better grasp of our assessment tools just as a whole. Okay. So thank y'all. All or nothing, yes. So I'm glad you heard that. So before I get into the nitty gritty, I did want to mention to you that throughout from here on out, you will see quotes on the slides. I'm not going to read them to you, but I encourage you to read them because those quotes are things that providers said about our tool, the barriers they were having. And those are some things that we took to heart and that we decided to make. Because of that information we got from programs, we made changes directly on their responses. Okay. Go. All right. So before we get started, I just want to kind of do like an overview about why the policies in your or how the policies in your program drive quality. Structural quality is the part of the assessment where your program will submit a portfolio of policies and procedures and evidence to support how you are how you're structured your program and how you get information to providers about what you do. So there's clear information about out there and evidence that supports that having strong policies in your program really do drive quality and also drives process quality, which is the classroom assessment. So policies are really just a way of establishing standardized rules and requirements and procedures for staff and families so everybody kind of knows what to expect. And they can be about health and safety, about your operational protocols, and they really ensure consistency and they minimize risk because it just kind of is a roadmap for how you run your program and what your expectations are of everybody. So it improves staff performance because it provides clear written procedures to inform staff of their roles, their responsibilities, and boundaries. So it leads to better practices of teachers in your programs if you have good policies. It facilitates quality improvement because if you're doing regular annual reviews of your policies and you're trying to identify the gaps and you're incorporating best practices and you're making changes based on the needs of your program, then you are automatically facilitating a quality improvement plan. It enhances operational consistency. So it's detailed and it tells what the expectations are at enrollment, how you manage behavior, what you do with nutrition requirements, and it ensures that all your staff do the same thing. So it improves the daily experience for children daily. And then it supports educational quality. So policies can dictate the use of evidence-based curricula. It can require specific staff qualifications. So it might be that you only hire teachers with a certain degree or a certain experience. So it really kind of leads to better outcomes of children. And here you can identify inclusive care of children. It really provides clear communication to everybody. Here's where you can demonstrate your program philosophy, and really doing all this stuff strengthens the partnership between your program and your families. So for ABC quality, we have identified 4 elements of structural quality. We have program administration, which is about the organizational structure of your program, the operations, any policies and procedures that relate to the care of children. Next is education of leadership and teachers. And in these, it also includes like staff evaluation and ongoing professional development. For child well-being, this is where you have policies about nutrition, physical health, social emotional development, child screenings and referrals. And then finally, family communication, engagement, consistency, and familiarity in childcare demonstrate that each child is unique, each family is unique, and you value that family. So those are the 4 big areas of structural that ABC quality, I'm just going blank. It recognizes as the structural quality portion of the tool. So now I'm going to move into changes we made to this tool. So I'll talk a little bit about what it was like before and what changes we made. Okay. And we made some really significant changes in structural quality, so we're excited about that. So the first thing that we did is we did add some new indicators. So you're like, well, why are you adding new stuff? But I'm going to explain why. So, and here's a quote that we heard from programs. So in element 1, we have an indicator under program administration and structure. It's about your program's organizational structure. And this indicator is new. It is about implementing familiar and consistent teachers. Well, these indicators were found in the process quality. And we heard very strongly from directors in the field is the teachers don't make decisions about who the teachers are going to be and how long they're going to spend in the classroom. That's made at the leadership level. So we took that at heart and we took that out of process quality and we moved it to structural quality. So, and another thing we did with this indicator is here you're able to earn incremental points for demonstrating aspects of familiar and consistent teachers. Things like you've eliminated shifting. So in other words, to maintain ratio. You have regularly assigned teachers to classrooms. You eliminate grouping to just a little portion of the day. You don't do it for very long. You limit the number of floaters and substitutes. So really making sure they're familiar, children know who these people are. It's not like a new person every day you come along. You practice primary care through the age of 3. You have familiar and consistent teachers. So what's exciting about this, I told you a whole list of things. Any one or all of those that your program does, you get points for. Before, we would set an indicator and say you have to do all of this and you have to get all of these pieces, and if you don't, you get no points. So it's not like that anymore. Now you earn points for even if you did one of those strategies, you would earn a point. So that's exciting. And like I told you, that was done specifically because we heard from directors that that was a barrier for them. In element two, which is the staff education and professional development, we added the career ladder. So all staff have a career ladder is this new indicator. We had this as an eligibility requirement, and we felt like that was a very punitive approach to obtaining a career level. Because remember what I said earlier, things in eligibility are required. And if you don't do them, then that could impact your participation in ABC quality. So we didn't want to do that. But we really want to encourage you to have all your staff have a career ladder, because that career ladder impacts tons of other indicators where you could get points. So we'll talk about that later. And then the last one, orient incoming families to the program. This was under the individualized family communication and engagement indicator. And this one, it used to be it told you what you had to do to orient in programs. Now we're just saying you tell us what you're doing, and if they're good best practices, then you earn points for them, and you can earn incremental points for those indicators. So we are excited about that change. All right, let me move on. So I talked to you a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. I skipped the slide. Let me go
I
back.
was going to say you advanced 2 slides.
I skipped. Yeah, I went too
There you
fast.
go.
All right. The next one is about incremental steps. I talked a little bit about that. So you can get partial credit now. Used to be you could not. It was all or nothing credit. These 3 indicators, they're in different parts of structural quality. You can get earn points for each part that you meet or each strategy that you support. So for the first one, it's about staff and parent program and evaluations. We divided that kind of up. So if you only do staff evaluations, you can get credit. If you do program evaluations, you can get credit. The next one is the transition policy. So that indicator you had to do both internal and external transitions, and we gave you a time frame of when that had to be done. So you can get credit for having internal only, you can get credit for having external only, or both. And we're no longer setting a time frame for how long that time frame from, especially for internal. For internal, sometimes you might have a child in the 1-year-old classroom, but they would be better suited in the 18 months classroom. So you make a decision with the family to move that. And previously we said you had to wait a year before you could transition someone from one classroom to another. But we felt like that was a huge barrier, because what we're telling you is we know better than you how long that time frame should be for you to transition a child from one classroom to another. So we eliminated that. So I feel really good. That's a strong change, and that allows you to individualize what that looks best for you. How that looks best for you. The under child well-being. This is one that you can earn points for each method of. Wait a minute, am I in the right one? Let me look. Program collaborates with experts. Okay, here we go. So this one, you can, for each resource that you provide to a family that supports, they might need help with job searches, or they might need housing help. So for each resource that you provide for families, you can earn up to 4 points. So it used to be that was not how it was. You had to do everything. The last grouping is similar. This is under the individualized family communication and engagement, same thing. How do you collect information about families on the best way to treat, to care for them? So however you do that, whatever methods, you can submit each type of method you do. For the communicates with families in multiple ways. You just demonstrate
Brandy,
to, yeah.
you want to send Journey for about 30 minutes of break?
Yep, I can.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. For the communication with families in multiple ways, you just demonstrate that. We have eliminated the daily communication requirement. If you do that, that's great, but you're not required to do that anymore. Maintains a list, same thing. Show us the list, what's included, and multiple ways to engage families. So you might do multiple things in your program, like maybe you have a job fair, maybe you do open house. So those kinds of things, anything you have, you just demonstrate to us. And it has a limit of up to how many points you can earn. And so you can earn up to the max or a portion of that. So that used to not be like that before. So we're excited about that. All right. It keeps skipping forward. So earlier I talked about the career ladder and how that's going to be important. So another thing that's going to be really important if you're a director, if you want to maximize the points that you can earn under the element 2, which is staff education and professional development, it's really important that you verify employment of your staff in SE Endeavors, because we only accept verified employment of employees when we're looking at educational levels and we're looking at training. So the indicators impacted by verifying staff, there's 2 in the education, which is 1 for teachers, 1 for leadership, and then staff evaluation and ongoing professional development, there's 5 that relate to training in that. So we will not, though, we're going to do like a pre-check of your submission of your structural quality portfolio. And if we see that you have not verified staff, we're going to reach back out to you and go, hey, you haven't verified staff. Please go ahead and do that. Can we help you do that? Because we want to help you make sure that you are earning all the points you could possibly earn. So now here's a little activity. It's going to take a minute. So there's 3 different ways that that staff can be there's 2 different ways staff can be verified in the registry. So I'm talking about the SE Endeavors registry. I'm talking about your organizational profile within the registry, and you can verify it as the director. You can verify an employee as the director, or SE Endeavors can verify it. But also a teacher can report that they work for your organization, but they're not considered verified until you say, yep, she does work for me. So that's a key point of what you need to do. So on this chart, if you could tell me which teacher role is not verified. You can put it in the chat, or you can self-reported. Exactly. The assistant teacher has self-reported. So when we look at your training requirements and we look at education, we see self-reported. We're not able to count that in the total. So that could impact your program. So we encourage you to do that. This report, you can find it in SE Endeavors. This report's called the Facility Staff ABC Quality Training Report. It's a wonderful report. It has your teacher's student ID number on it. It has their name, their role, when they started. It says whether it's been verified by you or not. It shows, this column right here shows whether their first aid and CPR has expired. It shows if they've earned a credential, like a childhood credential. It shows whether they've gotten the pre-service, and it also shows if they've earned credit in nutrition, physical activity, and they've earned training credits in physical activity and social emotional development. Remember those 3 indicators, we give you points for those. So it's a great report to pull out of your program to see where your staff are standing. So I encourage you to, it's under, like if you go to your organizational profile and you go to reports, you'll find this report there.
What is the name of the report, Kathy?
It's called Facility. How about if I put it in the chat? I'll type it in the chat.
That'd be great.
There's
also a question in the Q&A.
Okay, go ahead.
Regarding the report, what is the process for requesting technical support if they're having trouble verifying their staff within SE Endeavors?
So you can call us and we can direct you to SE Endeavors, but SE Endeavors have people on staff that can help you with that, and they're really good about it. We also have people here that, you know, they can help a little bit, but if it's really technical, we would still have to send you to SE Endeavors. But we're always happy to take your calls. And so if the staff members, yeah, that might be something, Kim, you might want to reach out to SE Endeavors about and see if they can help you remove that person. I'm not sure how to do that. But I will tell you, we do look at the report. If we saw somebody on it twice, we would then take the one that meets the, you know, like we take the, so say I'm on there twice and maybe one time I'm on there, I'm self-reported and haven't been verified by you. And then I'm on there a second time, I've been verified. Our staff would not penalize you for that. We would take the line item that's been verified. So we are right now we're doing reviews on our pending programs. And so you can expect a review using this new adaptation. Some of you might get some reviews by the end of the summer, but definitely starting in October. If you want to reach out to me directly, I probably can give you a little bit more information about when that might be. Okay, Amber, but that sounds like something I'd love for you to email me about. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on. Really great questions. So, Bertha, so here's the thing. The person that does the training has to choose that the training that they're conducting meets the ABC quality nutrition qualification. There's like a checkbox when they submit it, they have to say that. And then the Endeavors team will verify that, yep, this does meet the criteria. If the provider, if the trainer has not done that and you still think you should earn credit, you can contest that by reaching out to SE Endeavors and say, I took this nutrition training. I think it should go towards ABC quality credit. Reach out to them and they will fix that for you. That's a great question, Bertha. Okay. So I wanted to kind of show you too, another thing that we have done were our education indicators. Before, I don't know if you remember before, but the thresholds were like, I think it was like 50% of your teachers meet or exceed entry tier. Then it was like 75% meet entry tier and skilled, and then 100% meet entry and accomplished. So we heard from directors that the recognition of teachers, their education should be at the entry tier. And so we took off all the back end pieces of this indicator and we made the focus on the entry tier. And we also dropped the percentages. Again, the first bullet was 50, the second was 75, and the third was 100. So we dropped the percentages. So it's more likely that more people in your program will meet, because as you can see, this is incremental. So you can earn 3 points here, 3 points, making it 6, another 3 points, and that could be 9 points. We dropped. It was really important for us to drop from the 100 to the 90, because we heard a lot also that, directors needs flexibility in staffing, and there might be a situation where, their staffing was off or something, and not all the teachers were meeting that level. So we took that into consideration. This indicator, based on the data that I talked about earlier, was the hardest one for the most difficult to achieve. So we're hoping these changes will change that. We heard that this was the way it was before was unrealistic. And so that's the reason for making those changes. Okay.
Couple of questions in the chat regarding
Okay.
that. Where do we find the report, and is it on teachers or all staff that have to meet that educational qualification?
So it's analyzed on all staff in the program. So we'll get that one report. It shows your career ladder and all that on there. And we'll look at we just, kind of do the math. How many teachers? We're only looking at teachers. We're not looking at I think I keep missing. We're not looking at people that do not provide direct care to children. So like if you have an administrator that never goes in the classroom, they just do, they just do the bookkeeping, finances, they're not included in this count. Or like if you have a cook that doesn't provide breaks or anything like that, then they're not considered. So no, there has been some changes to the career ladder levels. I am, Megan, I am not positive that I don't know that they've changed that. I have a BA degree in child and family studies as well. So I'm not sure. I would talk to SC Endeavors about your career ladder and how it falls, like your degrees and how they fall. They're the one that set that criteria and they verify that criteria. We do not do that. I was trying to think if I was going to say anything else. I don't remember. So if I think of whatever I'm going to say, I'll say it later. Okay, here we go. All right. So another place where we made changes to the thresholds were for annual training. Again, originally these numbers were 50, 75, 100, and you had to exceed 20 hours of annual training for teachers. So we changed that because it didn't make sense that you're not required by child care licensing to only do 15, and then we're expecting you to exceed 20 hours. So we made that change for it to be more equitable in the way those are just how we score those indicators. And then again, for the social emotional development, behavioral health trainings and the nutrition, remember, we evaluate all staff on these. Before, 100% of your staff had to have social emotional development and behavioral, at least 1 hour, nutrition and movement and physical activity. Now the expectation is 90% of your staff. And again, we think that allows for flexibility. All right. We're almost done with structural. So, which is the portfolio. So another thing we did is, I talked earlier about dividing indicators. We divided some of the requirements for 2 of the indicators into parts or into 2 separate indicators just to maximize your ability to make score, to score. Previously, you had to meet part A and part B to earn credit for the suspension and expulsion indicators. Well, we divided it in two parts. So now you just have to, the first part is you have to have a policy and you can earn credit for that. The second part does not, the second part is you can earn credit for promoting these strategies in your program. So you have prevention measures, you have parent and program collaboration, you have alternative options, and you have a transition or you have a transition policy. So you only need two of this list to earn credit here. Before you had to have all four of these in order to earn credit. So there's more opportunities to earn credit here. For the child screening, we divided in two. This was one indicator. Vision, hearing, and screening and developmental screenings was all one indicator. This is the all or nothing. So we divided it into two indicators. One is vision and hearing screenings. The other is developmental screenings. And that just gives you more flexibility to earn points. Oh, here we go again. I keep jumping ahead. So I talked a little bit about the scoring. There's really a lot in structural. We did a lot of work in structural to really kind of give you more opportunities to earn points. So this is just a recap. There's incremental points now you can earn. We removed the all or nothing methodology. We divided indicators wherever we could to give more opportunities for scoring. We equalized point across the structural, because remember, professional development and training was the highest scored points. And so it's more equal across the board. And we feel like this is really strength-based because we listened to what your comments were and we made changes accordingly. Every comment that we got, we said, okay, how can we fix this? And it was really important that we did that. All right, so some of you are new. So I'm gonna kind of rephrase this question a little bit. So my original question is, what challenges are faced during an on-site classroom observation? So if you're a teacher, think about if you've ever had somebody come in and observe you. How did you feel about that? Did it cause any challenges or anxiety? And just put that in the chat. And if you're a director and you've had us come in and do an assessment, what makes that hard? So you put that nervous. Yes. I've had like I said earlier, I was a teacher, and nervous and anxiety. Yes, I totally agree. I had been assessed on ERS, and that's a 3-hour assessment. Oh my gosh, I thought I was it was hard. It was so stressful. It does make teachers nervous. So I think the more that we can support teachers through this process, kind of letting them know what to expect, because our job is not to make you scared or nervous or cause a lot of anxiety. Our job is to make you feel comfortable. Our role is to identify the strengths in your program. So yeah. Ebony, you said being quiet. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
They're really not doing, what they usually do if I come sitting there.
So gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so we don't want that to happen. So we need to come up with some supports or ways that we can help your teachers feel more comfortable. I mean, you're not going to totally take away being nervous, but we want them to feel more comfortable when this happens. So yeah, stress. It is stressful. I totally agree. So those are great comments. I would love to, because we're doing some meetings, Christine, with our quality assessors, just about their approach when they do an assessment. And I would love some of their responsive if I could like share them, like how it makes teachers feel and that kind of thing. I think that would be real helpful for them to hear that.
Absolutely.
Okay, that would be great.
I
Thank
have you in
y'all.
the chat.
Okay, that's perfect. I appreciate it. I would love to share that with our team, just kind of because I think it's important to know that it is intimidating when people come in and watch you, and especially when you're being assessed on how you perform, that's terribly stressful. And so we want to eliminate that as much as possible.
I'm seeing lots of comments in there.
Lots of great ideas,
Preparation.
like proactive coaching, maybe
Mhm.
on-site. So we do have some things in the works. We are working on, we're working right now with PDG money on a proactive enrollment process. So like establishing a process to support teachers before they have the assessment. And if that goes well, then we want to, expand that to everybody. But your ideas are fabulous, and I would love to have them and share them with my team. So thank you for taking the time to put that. And Shannon, yeah, I'm going to put some contact information at the end. If you're interested in applying, you can email us or call us, and we'll help you with that. All right, so I'm going to move on. How are we doing on time? What time do we end? 2?
We ended 2.
Okay,
So
I think we're
about
doing
35
okay.
minutes.
Yeah, okay, so I feel like we'll be fine. So the next piece that we're jumping into is the on-site observation, which we call process quality. And this is, for us, the meat of the assessment. And this is really what demonstrates your program's strengths, your teacher's strengths, and really kind of sends the message of the quality in your program. And I will tell you, even though I talked a lot about structural, that's only 15% of your total score. Process quality has 2 pieces to it. It has the classroom observations, plus we do a group size and ratio check. That's worth 85% of your total score. So if I was going to be, if I'm a director of a program and I'm working with my program, my main focus is going to be on my teachers and how I can help them improve their quality in their classrooms, because that's where it's at. Even though I spent a lot of time telling you how important policies are, they are. Don't get me wrong, they still are. But this is where the meat of the assessment is at. So there are key impacts of, oh shoot, y'all, I'm going to drive you nuts by all this back and forth. I apologize. I need a bigger desk, and I need where I can spread out. So there are key aspects of process quality on early care and education improvement. So one is enhanced teacher interactions, and here's where the process quality fosters sensitive, emotional supports, and instructional interactions, which are predictive of improved social skills and academic performance. So that teacher-child interactions is really what impacts children as they go to school. So that's a key. Also, another key impact is individualized learning. This is you as a skilled educator. You use a process-oriented, responsive care to tailor learning to each child's needs. And this enhances their engagement and their development. The third is brain development engagement. So this is where there's rich interactive environments, particularly those that support exploration, curiosity, and these are crucial for long-term development in the first 5 years. And then finally, systematic improvement tools. So measuring process quality via observations, it's kind of like what we do. This enables you to track and reflect on and enhance classroom practices. So I encourage you as a director, when you get those reports, you share them with your teachers, And then you together decide, what can we do to make things better? You know, what are we doing great? Identify those things you're doing great first, and then talk about, okay, let's see if we can do this. And don't try to do everything. Do little pieces at a time. That will lead to long-term improvement over time. Okay. All right. So I put in the chat the adaptation summary. And it had the first section of it is about structural, the second is about process quality. We did some coding. So if you see IT, that means infant and toddler. If you see PS, that means preschool. SA means school age. And all ages mean all ages, right? All these tools, because we have 3 tools. And look, this is a comment I heard from other people, but many of you said this in the chat, like you want to know what is expected, what's going to happen. So you are in alignment to what other programs think. So I'm going to really quickly kind of tell you that we have 6 standards under our intentional teaching practices, 3 tools: an infant and toddler tool, which is birth to 2 through 2 up to age 3, a preschool tool that is from ages 3 to 5, and a school age tool, which is 6 to 12. And so depending on the classrooms you have in your program, we'll do a sampling of each one of those age groups. So the first standard in element 5 is responsive and sensitive care. This is supporting the emotional development of children through warm, trusting relationships with familiar and responsive teachers. The second is language and communication. And this supports children's language and literacy development through a variety of personal and meaningful interactions throughout the day. The next one is guidance, and this guides children's social skills while respecting each child's development and abilities. The next one is program structure, and this is how you structure and organize individual care in your classrooms. Next is early learning. Sorry, guys. I'm looking at my notes. It facilitates early learning by creating meaningful experience that supports all development, encourages curiosity, exploration, and problem solving. And last but not least is environments. And this is about how your space is designed, furnishings. Is it interesting, developmentally appropriate? Are there places for children to learn and grow? And it's both indoors and outdoors. Okay. So let's get into it. Now, remember, we're going back to talking about the changes we made to the tool. So the first thing we did, remember I talked about the quality assessor and how they do the assessment. So we made some changes to like the clarifications, examples, and really how the quality assessor assesses that indicator. So the first one, which impacts all age groups, was about recognizing response to children as individuals, their unique strengths. We removed that you had to see one instance of a child, of a teacher actually doing this during the time we made the observation. But we realized through the feedback from y'all that your program might just have a culture of responding to all children as individuals, and it's embedded in the classroom and in the culture of the classroom. So we're not looking for a particular instance. We're just focusing on the overall practice of the teacher, valuing children as individuals. So it really expands the opportunity to recognize that the teacher is doing this. The next is about encourages children to communicate and share language with each other. So we provided another opportunity. So this was a teacher prompt indicator. So the teacher had to be the one that says, okay, Johnny, you talk to so-and-so and y'all make a decision about blah, blah, blah. This is where the teacher actively does that. Well, we added the opportunity for children to be communicating with each other organically, because the majority of the observation, because we do know that teachers work really hard throughout the year and they put a lot into their classroom. So if children are organically talking to each other, that tells us the teacher did something prior to us coming in there. So we're giving credit for that. So we think that's very beneficial. Then the last one for how we assess it is that communicates behavioral expectations to guide behavior in a positive manner. So we used to, if we saw any negative incidences, you could not earn credit here. You would lose credit here. But the teacher still had some positive, still communicated expectations to guide behavior in a positive manner. So they did both. So for instance, maybe a teacher did something like, Johnny, use your words when you're upset with your friend. And then she had to yell across the room, no, stop. The no stop was considered negative. Well, we're not going to count you against that anymore for this indicator. It's captured in other places if you are using negative responsive. So we felt like we were overly punitive in the scoring for this indicator. So we changed how the assessor is assessing that. Oops. Then there was a bunch of indicators that we kind of changed a little bit of our wording for it, because we discovered that there's a number of programs in our state that they spend the majority of their day outdoors. And these indicators in this bulleted list were only assessed in the classroom. But if they can demonstrate that their primary space, wherever their primary space is, for the majority of the day, they can be assessed for these indicators inside or outdoors. People that had, there's some programs that are like for schools or, have those kind of philosophies where they spend the majority of their day outside, they would lose credit for all these indicators. And it just felt like that wasn't really fair. Okay, here are some other adaptations we made. So for the cozy area indicator, we've added a new category in there. And in that one, we added an emotional support materials. So we still want you to have a cozy space that has something soft in it, but you can also have emotional supports that helps children calm down. So it might look like a feelings board. It might be a fidget toy, something like that you have intentionally put in that space to help children calm will be counted for this. So it just gives you more opportunities. For child-related displays, one of the requirements is you had to have a 3D display in order, so you had to have displays throughout your classroom, and one of those displays had to be 3D. So we removed the requirement that you had to have 3D displays. However, if you have one, you'll get credit. And it is still an example under that indicator. And then finally, the outdoor space provides a variety of equipment and materials that are organized to support complex play. So this was a category. You had to have things in certain categories. And before it was 4 categories, now it's 3. So we've dropped the numbers that you had to have to meet this indicator. All right, this is one of my favorite changes we made throughout the tool. It's the outdoor one. So we made this with support of our the Department of Public Health. We work collaboratively with them on our Go Grow Outdoors initiative. First Steps is part of that initiative. They help us with that. And they have a lot of programs that participate in that they manage. So we're really excited about that. Well, we had an indicator that was about the outdoor environment having a variety of, used to say it had to be a naturalized environment. And so we removed that language because it was confusing. What does that mean? And we changed it to vegetation. That's really what we're talking about. And so that was one thing we did. So you really can drive to what the intent of the indicator. Also, we had within this indicator about grouping. So you could only earn credit for a category if you had the same item within a group. So like say you had, if you look in this picture here, like they have daisies together and they have this, these would be considered groupings. We eliminated that terminology and we changed it to multiple. So that means they don't have to be together. So I could have, a flower. I can have a flower here. I could have a vegetable here. I could have a tree over here. And those would all count as multiple vegetation in the program. We added a new category here, which is ornamental grass, because we know that we have that in South Carolina. So we added that. And we also changed the tree requirement because that was very complicated. If you have more than 3 trees in your program, in your outdoor space, no matter where they are, they're considered a category. So really expanded the meaning of this indicator and really gave tons more opportunities to get credit here. I think this is going to be, because people are really, even if they're not part of the Grow Outdoors initiative, they're really trying to enhance their outdoor spaces. And we want to recognize that. All right, so here's an indicator that we divided up. And earlier I talked about our IT systems. We only have the ability to function in a certain way in our IT system. So there was no way to make this like you get a point for this part, a point for this part, and this part. So we decided to divide this indicator up. This was the family style dining. And we found when I was reading reports, we saw consistently that programs were got credit here. They always got credit here where they were supporting the meal routines. They were helping engagement and socialization. So we moved that apart. Now it just has 2 parts. And this is the same thing. It's just worded slightly different for infant and toddlers than it's worded for preschool and school age. So now the way it reads is the teacher allows, this is thinking about infant and toddlers, you allow it to feed and or serve yourselves during the meal. So this could be using a spoon and, scooping cereal out of a bowl. It could be holding my own bottle. It could be something like that. You could get credit for this indicator here. Now here, it says teachers allow children to feed and serve themselves during meals. So they have to do both. They have to be able to feed themselves and serve themselves. But it doesn't mean they have to do the entire meal. You could pre-plate your meal, but have one piece of it where they serve themselves. So maybe you allow them to get bread from a basket themselves, but the rest of the meal you serve pre-plated. So there's a little bit more flexibility in how you can earn credit for these indicators. Because family style dining is a tough concept to implement, but we know a lot of you were interested in this concept and wanted to implement it. So we feel like this is a little bit more flexible and allowing you to do that. And then by separating the teacher supports meal service routines as a time for children to engage and socialize, at least you'll get points for that part. Because before you had to get all 3, all the components. I think there was like 2 or 3 components in order to earn credit. And so at least you can get partial credit for this indicator. So we feel like that's going to be a benefit to you. All right. And then earlier I talked about on linking. So this is a big deal too. So for like the daily schedule, we, for that one, if you didn't meet the previous indicator, then I think the previous indicator was about following the schedule, then you would not earn credit for having a schedule. So now you can earn credit for either one separate from each other. So that will give you more points. And then we also unleashed sufficient materials in the outdoor space. So we were requiring you to have sufficient and then a variety. So you could have enough materials and they all be a variety of materials. So now you are able to earn credit for that, both of those ideas, instead of having to do one, having to have sufficient in order to get variety. All right. And so we're getting towards the end. So we removed some components from the early learning, some of the early learning standards within the process quality. So we removed the requirement for modifications with children with identified delays. Was instructional. So this was duplicative. So we removed that. We merged some of the concepts in the promoting early literacy to the other components. So it used to have 3 components, now only it has 2, and you'll find the components about dual language merged in the examples. So it's not a requirement, but if you have it, you'll get credit. Then the last one was about reading development, and we did the same thing, similar to the one above. We merged the concept in the component 3 into the examples for the other 2. So because component 3 was making people not get credit for the whole indicator. So we removed that. If you have it, you will get credit, but if you don't, it's not going to hurt you. All right. And here's some environment indicators that we removed, and we did some, like, we tried to clear this up. The literacy rich environment was present. We removed the category types. So before you had to have like books that were oh goodness, books about different maybe different abilities. Maybe you had to have books about different races. Maybe you had to we eliminated all those requirements and we changed it to you just have to have fiction and nonfiction. And we added definitions for fiction and nonfiction to really, and meaningful print, to really kind of hone into what we were talking about in our definitions and in our examples. All right, almost done, people. What time is it? I think I'm going to skip this slide. This is really just about you and how you can empower yourself to set and meet goals. And I kind of addressed this early on. Whoops, but you have the PowerPoint to kind of reflect on this. But we really encourage you to kind of think about where you want to go in your quality and how you want to improve.
You're about 10 minutes.
Okay, so I'm gonna head towards the end. So in the chat, if you will quickly put in there, what do you need from us to make you successful? And I want this information too, so I make sure I help people. So if you will take a couple of minutes to do that.
Kathy, do you want to address a couple of questions that are in
Yeah, we can do that
while they're typing in?
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to skip the slide. This was the QR code I told you about to access our clarification guides and the adaptation. They're all new. They say new about it. All right. The chat's going really fast. Did you see questions you wanted me to?
Yeah, I can scroll back. Okay, there was one question that was regarding scholarships. About, will there be any anticipated change in, scholarships being available again? And does the limitation on scholarships affect the assessment process in any way?
Okay. So I don't know that I have the best answer or that I know all the answers about the pause and scholarships. I know our leadership is coming out with some information. The bottom line, this is what happened. So during COVID, we were giving an onslaught of a lot of money to support programs. So our agency decided to use that money to support childcare providers directly and families in getting scholarships. So they took all that money and kind of put it out back to the field. It was a lot of money. I want to say it was like $892 million or something like that. And the money was used for scholarships and was used for giving childcare programs grants and things like that. That money has ended. So we will no longer be getting that money. People in your programs were eligible to receive scholarships on a higher eligibility rate than what is really the federal requirement. They were eligible to receive scholarships if they were earning 85% of the state's median income. So that really opened it up to a large population of families that qualified for scholarships. Well, that's no longer available. So here's what I know. We will get back to releasing the pause, but we will not be able to supplement that group of 85% of median income. We'll have to go back to the original federal requirements. And I don't know the percentages. I want to say, for some reason, 150% of poverty sounds right, but I don't know if that's right or not. I'd have to look at it. Does that sound like it?
Rather than guess, I would say, news will be coming out soon, because I know that Martha has said that she's heard that they're working on it and she's got meetings coming up with them. So I'm sure it's coming out soon.
And so we're going to be getting news. We do know that we are going to be federally funded. That was concerned because of the budgets, because of the government shutdown. So things will happen, but I personally don't know that we'll be able to get back to the rate that we are. And I do know that our agency is working really closely with state government, with businesses to say, okay, childcare needs support, families need, childcare, businesses need these people to be in childcare so they can work. And so we're really kind of trying to convince everyone that there needs to be some investment outside of the federal government. There needs to be other investment. So we're working on it. I know our team is passionate.
There's a lot of other questions, so I'm just going to say that more information will be coming about that, because I don't want to get too far off of your topic.
Okay.
There are a couple of questions going back to the playgrounds. Do you have to have 3 trees for it to be able to count trees as a category, I guess?
At least 3, yes.
Okay.
But if you have 6 trees, then you can, and I'll have to look at the numbers more closely. But if you have more than that, there's another range. You can count it as 2 categories. You used to not be able to do that. And there's different categories. There's like shrubs, there's like garden, there's like vegetables, flowers, there's things like that you can get credit for.
When they're evaluating that vegetation, are they looking only within the fenced playground area?
Yeah, it's the space the children have access. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The children have to have access to it. But it could be as long as the children have access, it could be on the way to the playground if they're allowed to have access to it, Right. It could be that. Yeah.
Kathy, I would suggest we have 5 minutes and we have a lot more questions and I do want to ask them, but why don't we launch the poll?
Okay.
While we're going through the last of these questions. That way people put in their answers and listen to the responses that we have. Okay, so if you would all go ahead and please help us by answering. There's 4 questions in the poll. So please go ahead and answer those to the best of your ability, and we'll continue running through the questions. So with regard to meal service, they're asking about, like if somebody was if a child was grabbing their own carton of milk, that doesn't necessarily count as self-serve, does it? I mean,
So if they're allowed to
I'm
serve
on-
themselves part of the meal, I would say that, if you put the milk down for them to go get your own carton of milk, I would say that's part of serving part of the meal. That is part of the meal. So that could be a way to do it.
And how about picking up their own plate, carrying it back to their seat, or emptying their own trash?
So no, that's not serving. Think
Okay.
about it as serving food to yourself. It's like if you're serving dinner. Cleanup is separate, and cleanup is found, like doing those kind of self-care regulation tasks, like throwing things away, those kinds of things, is found in another indicator. I don't know which one it is off the top of my head, but you get credit for that at another indicator.
All right. People are asking about having things emailed to them. I will email the items that I have, like the outline and the updated forms that you gave me, Kathy, to anybody that's in attendance, and assuming you entered your email correctly. With your registration. So those will be coming out later, and the link to the recording will be released once we have that set up for release. You can also, like Kathy put up that QR code earlier.
You want me to go back?
Yeah, maybe we could do that. And that way people could find the resources there as well.
So there's clarification guides. There's a structural one. There's the three, and they're all center-based. There's the three process quality ones, infant, toddler, preschool, and school age. And they all have the word Newbine. So when you go, you just have to scroll down, find ABC quality, click on the plus, and our resources come up. And the adaptation summary is down at the bottom with our documents.
Okay, so if they're working with a CCR&R coach using the new assessment guides, if their review period has expired and they're seeking clarification regarding the amount of time available for preparation before their next review. So, in general, if they're outside of that review period,
It should be.
how much time are they going to have?
So you'll be fine. So I will, this is kind of like dirty laundry here with us, but our IT, we lost our contractor that was doing our internal IT system for our assessment tool. So we are currently developing a paper process. Yay! How fun to have to go back to paper. So we're temporarily developing a paper process to do our assessment on. Our focus will start with pendings, and then we'll get to some other program types. If you have not had a review in a little while, I would expect that we will be back up and running in October, the 1st of October. That's when our internal IT team is going to recreate the tool that we lost from this other contractor. So, like I said, that's dirty laundry, but it's a reality. You have to like shift and pivot, so I think if you're right now working with your quality coach, whether it's with 4K, First Steps, R&R, you'll be fine to go ahead and get them to work with you now. Now's a great time. And you could even reach out to your quality assessor if you have questions. They're more than happy to support you.
All right. And if we're at time and people need to go, then they're welcome to depart. Please finish the poll before you go. Kathy, do you have a couple extra minutes to stay with us?
I do.
Okay, fantastic. Can you clarify how many credits are needed to consider a degree, non-early childhood degree, a related degree? I don't know if that's necessarily credits.
So there is.
fields.
Yeah, I'm gonna. what I'm going to do, let me do this real quick. So if you go to SC Endeavors, to their website, not to the organizational profile, but go to their website. They have the career ladder. Let me move this. They have the career ladder on their website, and it tells you what degrees qualify for under what ladder or what level of the ladder. So I encourage you to go there, and I could probably put there, I think it's SC Endeavors.org. And I think wait a minute, SC Endeavors, let me do this. And I think it's under Career Ladder on their website. I go there all the time. That's the website for it. But they have the career ladder up there. They have you can ask them all kind of questions. If you need support, they have a contact like page on there that you can put your email on and they'll get back to you. So.
And I will say I know you asked like what kind of supports people need, because that's coming up in here a lot. Several people are asking for like a printable checklist that they might be able to go through, and honestly, we used to take our evaluations and kind of go through them, classroom by classroom. And
yes. So guess what we're doing? And we're really excited. I kind of alluded to it earlier with part of the PDG. We are creating a self-assessment that can be used by the teacher in the classroom. It's like a booklet. It's kind of based on topic areas throughout the tool for the classroom assessment. And you kind of just go through it and answer questions. You kind of say, yep, this is how I do this. This is how I do that. And it's a way for you to kind of get a feel of what the assessment's going to be. Then if you have technical assistance, that person can support you with that. Then you and the TA person can look at that assessment and go, okay, where do we want to start? Where do we want to kind of work on where we want to start? But we're excited about it. It's not a traditional checklist where you just say yes or no. It's a reflective guide that we're excited about creating it's for teachers specifically. And so we're really excited about that tool. And then we are planning, and that tool it's done. We have some things we have to iron out with it, but we've created it. So I would say we would have it out probably by the fall for you to use. October is our magic number because that's our federal, that's when our federal contract year starts over again. So we have to start things over every October. So we're planning to have that available. So I will make sure that you have it. It'll be on our website. We'll probably be doing some trainings on it. So how to use it. But we're really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great tool for teachers to use.
And if people are looking for additional support or on-site, coaching or mentoring and things like that, is CCR&R a good resource for them to turn to try to get help to prepare and maybe get some resources to support those areas that they're weak in and things like that?
Yes, I think that's great. And, really, anybody that you have a relationship that's providing technical assistance should be able to support you with the assessment and help you through it. So.
And I will say, 4K and the coaches in 4K, the managers, the leadership, we try to stay abreast of the ABC policies and the tools that you're using. We can't say that we always get 100% right, but if we know who to go to when we have questions. And so the vast majority of what we do in support of our 4K classrooms is also reflecting what would be evaluated with the ABC tool. So hopefully our guidance and support should be aligned with what you would get with the ABC tool, at least in the preschool classroom.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
We don't do the infant toddler. That's not us.
Yeah. But we have PITC. I mean, like,
Right.
so if you want to focus specifically on infant and toddler children program, we also have the South Carolina program for infant and toddler care.
All right. You are still accepting applications for providers to participate in ABC
Yes.
Quality.
And right now we're doing a pending enrollment process, which means you just have to meet eligibility requirements. And then you have time to kind of get some TA, whatever you need to kind of prepare you for the actual assessment. So that's a nice feature to be able to get in, because eligibility is really the hardest part, I feel like, because those are requirements that you have to get done. But once they're in place, you're golden after that. It makes it just pretty easy.
Right. And they have to be open for 6 months if they're a new location, right?
They have to have a regular license and have been open for 6 months. And we do that so you can demonstrate your program's history compliance. In other words, you're in good standing with child care licensing. And that's another one of those federal requirements. They're like, how do you know? And so that's the way we demonstrate it to the feds.
Okay. I know people are asking for your contact information. That's on the slide.
Can they see it? Yeah.
Yeah, they can. So you've got her email, earlier access to loading documents for the structural guide. It's time consuming for the directors if they're being super thorough, and they need flexibility in balancing this and all their other duties. Yeah. So
okay. I will tell you one thing that we're doing with our, so there's always like a golden lining to things that you think, oh my God, how are we going to deal with this? This is, when we lost our contractor, our IT contractor, is that our internal IT is developing features for us that we were not able to get from the other contractor. So one thing that we've asked them to do with us, and we're really excited about, so when you submit and our system is going to be in the Division of Early Care and Education portal. That's where you do your grants, and we're going to be in that portal. And so one thing that you submit your structural quality portfolio in that portal, and then when it's time to do your review the next time, you'll be asked, you submitted this policy. Do you want to keep it, or do you want to add something new? So you don't have to every time keep submitting the same things over and over again. And we're going to ask for that same kind of development with the eligibility portion, because there's a lot of policies that you have to show every year. And if you haven't changed those policies, it's kind of like, why do I have to keep submitting that? So we listened to those kind of comments too. I saw something about the time frame for submitting the structural, so we'll think about how we can support that and maybe make that a little bit easier, more time maybe, or something. We'll see what we can do.
All right, Kathy, I think we'll go ahead and we'll call it at this point. If anybody didn't get their questions answered, then they're welcome to email you, and or if
please
something that's site specific answered, then
yes,
they can reach out to you, or you'll put them in touch with who they need to speak with. So thank you so much for spending so much time with us and giving us all this really helpful information. I know there's a lot of people that were looking for that clarification, and you brought it.
So. Well, good. I'm glad I was able to help, and we plan to continue to provide trainings and things like that. So be on the lookout. Things are coming. We just, we have a lot of things going on, so we plan to have a lot more offerings for our providers as well.
Yeah, and it's it also takes some time to go through the process of looking at what changes you need to make, then figuring out how best to make those changes, implementing the changes, then educating people on those changes. So it's a process, and then you start it all over again, just like you said earlier. So,
yes, yeah, it is.
So more information is coming. And hopefully everybody will invest themselves in being well informed and prepared. So thank you again, Kathy. Thank you everybody for attending. And we'll send out additional information after this. Hopefully when you registered, I'm not going to pull emails out of the chat box. That's just too much. So if your information was correct when you registered, then you will receive the the items that Kathy provided to me. And if you don't get the emails, then go to the ABC Quality website or the QR code that on the childcare website, scchildcare.org, and you can get the information off of there. Okay.
It's been my pleasure, y'all. I hope to one day see you in person. So thank you for allowing me to talk to you today.
All right. Thanks so much. Everyone have a great day. Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Okay. And Kathy, I'll try to pull the poll results and send those to you as well. Okay?
And if you have any questions you want to send my way, I would love the comments about what they need and some of their barriers, and especially about the assessment process. I think that would be really helpful.
Okay. Will do.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.